Hey guys, SeanB, and today I want to talk about the new dungeon bosses that's gonna be in the game very soon, and we actually have information in the developer's note. We have the skill for every single bosses that's gonna come out. So in this video, I want to theory craft some teams that you guys can use to farm these bosses. First, we have the Dimension Hole Dungeon Dimension Predator. So it's gonna be an Enigma looking kind of guy if you play Dota 2. And he'll be appearing in different dimensional hole once every month, so you can farm him once and you have to wait another 30 days to farm him again. They didn't really say anything about his element, but I'm gonna assume he has a neutral element because the color is purple or dark. It's a very difficult dungeon that requires manual battle. Okay, you have to do it once anyway, so manualing is pretty cool. You only have to do it once. Monster entering battle will have a buff that increases the monster basic stats. So they're gonna buff your stat to become humongous like this. The dungeon is a monthly dungeon, okay? Once a month, each dimension entrance limit condition will be applied as the same. Oh, if the dungeon appear in the Kazan, then you only use Nat 4. If the dungeon appear in other dimension, you have to use the same element, or you have to use 20 star. Oh, that's pretty tough. You can enter the dungeon with 5 monsters, okay? Team of 5. 1 energy will be consumed for 1 entrance. So you will use it once per month. So only 1 energy. I think there'll be a test mode, probably, because they have it for all the bosses in Dimensional Hole. The energy is very expensive, so I think there should be a test mode. They'll boost your monster basic stat by a huge amount, which means I don't think you will have to focus on your runes too much on these units. You will have to focus on the crit rate, crit damage, resist, and accuracy a bit more if you want to do consistent damage or you want to land your debuff, because your base stat will be insane. The bonus stat will not increase according to this base stats, so your rune will not matter too much. It's more about the monster. Okay, let's take a look at the skill. We have the first skill, Touch of Exploitation. Ooh. Not a good term in 2020. Inflict damage to the enemy target that ignore all damage reduction effects, so it will ignore invincibility or defense buff. I don't think these two buffs are very popular for dungeon farming, so it's not too important, but it will ignore shield if you are using shield. And still all beneficial effect granted on the target. So one of the most popular buffer for everybody is Fran, which means the boss can take away attack and immunity from you. Endless Pain. Attack all enemies and grant 2 continuous damage without a turn limit. So I think the dot will just be permanent. So it will always be there until you cleanse that dot. Grudge Eruption. It's a passive. An energy bead is activated whenever the boss is attacked 5 times. When 3 energy beads are activated, the energy is released instantly to attack the enemy target. So it's like an instant revenge, like a Giant's B10 instant revenge. The attack target, attack power, and defense will be decreased for 3 turns. So I think it will do some damage to you and then put a 3 turn long attack power and defense brick on that unit. So that unit will easily die if you don't cleanse that. Another passive, Dimension Transcendence. The boss is immune to attack by decreasing effects, so Lauren will not be good. Glancing hit increasing effect. Not too sure about this. I don't think there are many glancing units except for maybe Chasun's pretty popular, and that's about it. Also, the effect of the attack that's proportional to the HP will be weakened, so Lin Sigmarus will not be as good. This is the phase number 1. When the first phase ends, the boss will have Soul Clone. It will clone the soul of enemy with high attack power and enemy with high defense to create 2 illusions, so the boss will have 2 minions. The boss attack power will be increased greatly if you fail to defeat the illusion within 25 turns. So I think it will be good if you defeat the illusion. It's like Necro B10. So from the first layer, you see the instant revenge after a number of times that you attack the boss. It's like Giant's B10. And then you now have the Soul Clone. So it's like Necro B10 that just duplicate your unit. So the boss attack power will be increased greatly if you don't defeat the clone, which is not good. So I think you may want to deal with the clone, and then the clone will appear 2 times. Clone Soul is activated when the Dimension Predator HP is at 70% and 40%, so it will appear twice and you have to deal with it. Watcher's Eye. It will appear in the second phase, attack all enemies, monitor all enemies for 1 turn. I think it's going to be a debuff, like a monitor debuff. If an enemy get a turn while being monitored, steal 10% of target HP. So it's like a healing skill for the boss. Not sure if you can heal block this. Hopefully you can. And you need a heal block unit. And this will not be as crazy because 10% of target's HP, if he landed on everybody, it will get a quite decent amount of healing after you take a turn. Curse of Rage. Curse the enemy that inflict the most damage for 3 turns. The cursed enemy will inflict more damage on the boss, but is guaranteed to die when the curse ends. The curse will be put on another enemy for 3 turns when the cursed target is defeated. It's like Labyrinth, the bomb stage, where you have a bomb on yourself for a fixed amount of turn, then you are sure to die when the turn ends. So your damage dealer would definitely get cursed. Probably would be your Perna, your Crow, your something, you know, your damage dealer will get cursed, and then in that moment you will do more damage. So maybe if you violent proc and you're lucky, you can kill the boss immediately. You don't have to die. But I think if you use something that can self-revive, this will not be as crazy. Alright, let's take a look at the possible team that you can use in the boss. Alright, let's take a look at the possible team for this boss. I think Fran is still very important. You will need attack buff, the attack break, the cleanse, the immunity to maybe avoid the dots from the boss. You will not have her attack reduction. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. But I think Fran value is still really high in this boss. You will need Bella for healing and defense break, because I think you also need a defense breaker. So Lauren is not as good because the boss is immune to attack by reduction. So I think Bella will be a much better choice. He's tankier, he can heal as well. And with the boss take your attack immunity, Bella can strip right after that. So it's not that bad. Those are 2 slots already for support. So now you want some damage dealer. You want to stay here forever, right? I think Veromos is actually pretty decent here to cleanse the continuous damage, because I don't think you have immunity up all the time. So I think Veromos is a decent unit to use. You can build him with damage, and then he'll be able to cleanse the unlimited dots on your team and do damage at the same time. So the dungeon will first appear in Kazan, and then Elunia and Lumel. So in Kazan, you can only bring in 4-star and below unit. So you can definitely use the unit that you used before for farming runes. So let's say, not this though, this is a bit too YOLO. I think for starter, this is not bad. You have healing, attack buff, you have defense break, healing, you have 2 damage dealer, and the last unit can be some sort of utility base or semi damage dealer. So you can definitely throw in a commune, for example, as a 4-star below unit that can protect, do damage, potentially heal block the second phase, and kill the boss. But you can also bring in a reviver, because in phase number 3, the unit with Cursed Soul will definitely die, and maybe you want to drag the fight out a little bit longer. You might want to think about the revival you want to put in. You want to use Iladru, Tyrannus, the Firefish, Platy. I don't think this is going to be good though. If you're confident your damage output, definitely throw in damage dealer. So for the last slot, it can be a star. I think she's a pretty decent boss killer now with the extra damage. So for the last slot, it can be many different things. As long as it can do damage, you can put in a crow even to make sure that you do a lot of damage to the boss. So this can definitely be a good starting team for your Dimension Predator, the first one. We'll definitely think more about Elunia and Lumel after our first encounter with the Dimension Predator. When it releases, it will definitely be here. They say that in a note. 2 type reward box will be given. So the first one will be the rune box that will give you 5 choices. You can take one of that. Hopefully you get one of the good one, and the rest will be shit. Hopefully it will not be 5 shitty runes. Hopefully, okay? The live stream gave out 3 legendary runes, and all 3 of mine was garbage. So nothing can stop them from giving me 5 garbage choices. The second one is a bit better. You have some material, some grindstone, legendary grind, which is really cool. So it may complement your new rune, because the problem with ancient rune is the grind that goes with it. You have to farm and it doesn't drop that easily. So once a month, this is like a new world boss type of content. When you figure it out, it'll be pretty easy after that. Now we're moving on to the new Kairos dungeon. This one you gotta be speed farming. Definitely, because you want the artifact. So let's take a look at the Steel Fortress, a tanky boss. Skill effect. Skill 1, attack all enemies and decrease enemy attack speed for 2 turns. AoE attack slow. Thunder Blow, attack the enemy 3 times, single target, decrease the attack bar by 30% each. And the enemy will be stunned for 2 turns if enemy attack bar becomes 0. So very easy for your unit to get stunned, especially if you go first and do damage to the boss first. If the boss manages to get a turn, 90% attack bar decrease is gonna be instantly stunned for you. Thunderbolt. Whenever the enemy 5th turn ends, attack a random enemy with a Thunderbolt. Attack up to 4 times proportionate to the boss attack power. So if the boss get attack debuff, it will do less hit, I think. The attack will never land as a glancing hit, so your fire unit would not be able to utilize that fire element. The boss is gonna be a win boss. Stun the enemy with a 25% chance per beneficial effect granted on the boss. Stun the enemy for 2 turns when the boss lands as a critical hit. If the boss crit, you will get stunned for 2 turns. That is not funny. And you don't want to bring in like anti-crit in this. You just don't. You want to kill the boss fast. So if you're unlucky, you get stunned for 2 turns. Oh, that's gonna be bad. If you have 5 units on your team, each one of them take a turn, the boss will instantly Thunderbolt you. The boss will increase the attack power and crit rate for 1 turn when it begins a turn. So don't worry about it too much. Grant a shield equivalent to 10% of the boss HP and increase defense for 1 turn when the boss is attacked. So during your turn 1 of your team, the first unit take a turn, hit the boss, and then it will have shield and defense buff. This is pretty annoying if you want to speed clear, because that will stop you from killing the boss fast, and he can stun you and slow debuff you and stun you. Very annoying. Additionally, the damage received from the enemy is decreased by 20% per beneficial effect granted on the boss. So the boss can self-buff 4 different types of buff, and the more buff it has, the more it can stun you. And also, the more buff it has, the more damage reduction. So shield and defense buff together with the extra damage reduction from the passive will be very annoying for you to speed clear. So what will be the team for this? I think Lucian will definitely be needed for clearing the trash wave. The trash wave will be wind element, so Julie would not be very good here. I think Lucian or Shina, or Lucian and Shina will be okay. So Lauren will be there for the mid boss defense break and the final boss defense break. So the boss will always have 2 buffs, the shield and the defense buff. You're probably gonna break the shield, but the defense buff is gonna stay for a while. I think one of my favorite damage to use in this mode will be Jean, the Fire Phantom Thief. His second skill can do a lot of damage. He's a fire unit, so do more damage against wind, and he'll hit through shield and defense buff with his skill 2. So that is very, very good. Another one that hits through damage reduction will be the Fire Sniper. Skill 1 will always go through damage reduction effect, and it's a fire unit, which means building him will be a bit easier. So I think Jean and Fire Sniper will be good. The last slot, I'll definitely bring in Rogue for the team up. So he can bring Jean and Sniper to do a lot of damage to the boss. And also he'll help Lauren to decrease the boss attack bar, for example. Doesn't have anything that say anti-attack bar reduction or get extra speed or anything. So if you can lock down the boss, I think he will not be able to move, which is really, really good. But Thunderbolt will come out very frequently. Every 5 turns is actually quite frequent. So you want to kill the boss fast with fire damage dealer that can go through shield and defense buff. So I think the 2 good options will be Jean and the Fire Sniper. I don't think Vert is going to be good here because Vert will be taking a lot of turn without doing much, but it can be an option. I think you can put in Bailey, the Fire Lightning Emperor. He can steal the buff with his default attack and do massive damage to the boss. From the video that showed the boss action, doesn't seem like there are any towers or minion action going on the side. So I think because there's only one target, the Fire Lightning Emperor Bailey, who can steal buff and do a lot of damage, will be pretty good. Next up, we have Punisher Crypt. It's gonna be a fast boss that has attack bar manipulation. First, we have Dance of Sword, attack enemy, decrease attack bar by 30%. So this one AoE slow, this one AoE attack bar reduction. Conviction, attack enemy target 7 times and absorb attack bar by 20% each. So if you don't resist and you don't have immunity, the boss will instantly get another turn if it can do the conviction skill on your unit. The skill of the boss will be enhanced after 5 turn, 10 turn, and 15 turn from your. So number of attack will be increased according to the boss speed. Damage will be increased according to speed. All attack will ignore defense according to speed. You don't want to take too many turns in this dungeon. You want to clear the boss fast with good damage, because he will hit you really hard if you give it turn. The damage received from the enemy will be decreased up to 70% according to the attack speed. So I think attack speed slow will be a must-have condition in this dungeon. If not, you will not do much damage. It doesn't matter how much damage you can do when you have a decreased damage up to 70%. That is not funny. Additionally, gain a turn instantly when the boss is granted with decreased attack bar effect. So Lauren is a no-no. You don't want to give the boss instant turn to steal turn from you, steal attack bar from you, and just go crazy on you. Lauren is a no-no. So what is the team for this? Lucian must be there for the AoE clear for the trash wave. There are many other defense break option that's consistent. So first we have Shina. They nerfed Shina in the past, and now she's pretty good here because she can defense break and she doesn't decrease attack bar anymore. Shina is a very consistent defense breaker. Very good to use here. I recommend. Next we have Joltan, who have defense break in his passive. So Joltan can also defense break, but he's not as consistent because he only does a one hit. Meanwhile, Shina does 2, so it's a bit more consistent right there. But Joltan can be an option for defense breaker, consistent defense breaker. For other people who like to be fast and furious, you can use Helia, the Dark Harpy, for defense break and branding at the same time. Can be pretty good as well for record run time kind of thing. Now, those are 2 units. You want to have the damage dealer. So you need slow debuff. If you look at the slow debuff category in the game, there are many units with slow debuff. The consistent one, not many. If you look at the slow debuff family in Summoner's War, there are not many out there that are good for dungeon run. The Rakshasa family are very good slow debuff applier, but they decrease attack bar or absorb attack bar. So this will give the boss instant turn, which is not very good. So we have to look at something like the Pumpkin family. But they are not exactly dungeon damage dealer. They can do slow debuff, but their damage is kind of mediocre, so I don't really like them. So we have to look at something like the Lich family, which can apply slow debuff. The AI is pretty terrible, so they will more often than not use skill 1, which might be in your favor. And also defense break and do a lot of damage. I didn't see any minion action for the boss as well. It seems like there's only one boss and no minion, no towers, which means skill 2 will do a lot of damage to the single boss target. So Lich family is actually decent. I hate it. I talk about how shitty they are, and now they seem kind of okay for the dungeon. And the Lich can do some pretty solid damage if they do their skill 2. There's some other slow debuff apply unit like Arang, who's okay, but once again get hindered by AI, or the Vampire also has slow debuff right here, which is not bad. And they are pretty good for dungeon with their debuff scaling damage. You can also use the Cowgirl family default attack, but not Lauren, the other element. Let's say Cassie, who can put slow debuff and do some decent damage. Or the Cowgirl, who can also put slow debuff because the boss is a light element boss, which means you can use other Cowgirl, and I think it's gonna be okay. I think the Water Cowgirl is pretty okay. Inflict continuous damage. And remove beneficial effect doesn't matter. Slow debuff here. I think she's pretty okay for this boss as well. Dots are great. I think this girl might be really good for speedrun. Ignore defense, defense break, slow debuff. I think this is really good. She's not free to play though. So that's the slow debuff slot, and then you want your hard hitting damage dealer to go last. For example, your Crow, your Raok, your Water Twin. If you're running like, let's say, Lucian, Shina, one of the slow debuff unit like Lich, for example, and then you can run Water Twins, you have to apply the slow debuff, or else I think your damage will be totally garbage. You'll be able to farm your artifact. I think I'll have a separate video for the artifact. I'll keep this video for the theory crafting of the team, because going into this will be very long. Alright, so those were my theory crafting for the new dungeon bosses. What do you think will be your team for these dungeons? Let me know in the comment section down below. I might be totally wrong about this, but hey, theory crafting, that's the whole part of it, right? We gotta throw out ideas. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!